Hey everyone, Intention Hypnotherapist, and welcome back, and thank you for having me in your newsfeed. I just want to ask that question of what makes greatness. I'm Scott from Lawrence Hypnotherapy. I want to find out from you, what is it that is your goal, that is such a great goal, that it is worth pursuing? And so the way I see it is that people often get so caught up in all the nonsense, like a conversation I was having with someone today, and this guy's like telling me like, there's no point in aiming for anything above what you've got, just to kind of just manage your expectations. And that's his goal, that's his vision. Whereas the way I see it is that, imagine if you were to aim above zero. So if that's zero, below it is sick, below it is in debt, below it is in fights, and all you were aiming for is just to be average, that would be awful, because like you would never even reach the average. Whereas it takes a new type of thinking to reach greatness. Whereas that even if you aim for like, $1 million and you only reach half of it, that's much better than just trying to aim for just get your bills paid and get your tax paid. Does that make sense? It's a completely different style of thinking. What makes greatness for you? Or what if you've got this message for health and you want to get people beyond not just being sick, but get them into like basically working out each week and eating healthy and actually doing preventative measures that stop them from becoming more sick in the future. What if that was your vision? What if your vision was to connect, to change 1 billion lives instead of just like say 5 or 10? It's not just the same as step by step. This is what I found is like where networking with somebody who wanted to reach their goal of reaching so many million in their lifetime. What was happening is that they would basically just each year they were only doing such a small little portion of the goal, that they were only making so many sales, that what would happen is that by the end of their lifetime they wouldn't even get past 1% of their goal. And so what we found is that there's methods that she can use basically to increase her business while in basically adding value to other people. So having a bigger vision where you go, well, I get to help people more by giving them a better package in this networking program or whatever it is, where she finds, promotional partners, and these promotional partners then advertise further and further and further out to the point where she's then starting to build an empire because she's using the tools around her. Does that make sense? And it is so important to connect to that bigger vision. Also, that you get so much more joy from having a bigger vision than you get from just trying to maintain a general vision. So I've basically, yesterday I came back from the airport from Switzerland, and it was just amazing. All my other videos were from like the Swiss Alps. You'll see like, this is my office now. Oh, hey Prosper, how you going? And so that what I found is that you can't find joy in basically just trying to get rid of suffering. Even though that one of the best goals in the world could be to alleviate suffering for the planet, but you want to go further than that. That's a platform goal, which if you go further and further, you can actually find that the strategies that make it work are not the same as like just reaching zero. So if you want to be not sick, why not go further and go, I want to be the best bodybuilder on the planet, or the healthiest person on the planet. If you want to basically get your bills paid, why not go further and say, well, what I want to do is I want to build an empire that helps other people to achieve this too. Does that make sense? This is where you go above and beyond the vision of just like, how do I just, from the bottom to top thinking, and use the top to bottom thinking. What if I was to change the whole planet? What skills would I need to have in order to make that happen? What relationships? Whose help would I need to ask for? Who else has this vision too that I can connect with, if that makes sense? If it does, I'd love to hear what your vision is. I've got this ebook called How to 10 Times Your Clients' Results, to do with like, how do you lead people? How do you influence people in a way that really ends up making a result for people? And so just say, I'm in the comments section and I'll give you a copy of the book, basically to do with the 3 mechanisms that you need to create influence in other people. And just to quickly go through them now, the first one is that you need to have higher standards. Like none of this nonsense of basically just, like let's get through day to day, let's kind of do a little bit of the work and then stop. It's just complete nonsense, and you've got to drop that stuff, like not argue with people who have these opposing views all day, but ignore their stuff and get on with your goal, because your goal is so important that you've got to go ahead and do your goal. You need higher standards. The second of the principles is that there needs to be this kindness where real empathy is not the same as, I suppose, like not having standards. Real empathy is where you understand where people are coming from, because people do have unique situations, even though that we all think we have unique situations, and there's 7 billion of us and we're all kind of in categories. What makes them unique is they feel unique. They feel like we're the only ones experiencing this stuff. That's why it's important to allow people to have that point of view that they are so unique, because what they are is they're alone. They haven't checked all other 7 billion people to see that they're actually unique. What they've found is in their social network, they feel unique because they're the only one like themselves within their own social network. The third principle, which is so important to make this happen, is the strategy, is the planning, is the actual clarity. So you need to be tough, clear, kind. So the tough, the high standards, the kind, basically to have the empathy to understand where people are coming from. Because you can't just be harsh with people all the time. People become deaf to that. And then the plan, the strategy, breaking these things down to the point, these strategies down to the point where they become simple, that people can follow them. You've got to be able to hold to your truth to achieve greatness. What's your greatness? What is your great goal? The more you connect with your great goal, the happier you are. So this story I love, where there's 3 people laying bricks, and the first person says, you know, when a little girl comes up and says, "What are you doing?" And the guy at the builder says, "I'm laying bricks." And you're like, "Are you happy?" And he's like, "Nah." And then the second person, she asks, you know, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, I'm building this thing so that I can, you know, get paid to feed my family because I love my family so much." And you're like, "You happy?" He's like, "Yeah, actually, you know, because it's meaningful, because he's connected to something bigger." The third person, the girl goes up to him and asks, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm building a cathedral that's going to be here for thousands of years, that's going to change unbelievable amounts of lives that I won't even get to meet, and that's my legacy." And she's like, "Are you happy?" And he's like, "Oh yes." Oh yes. So the bigger the goal is you connect with, the happier you'll be, the more lives you'll change, the more success you will actually be able to create. Say I'm in for the ebook, and I'll talk to you soon.